As part of Horror Mayhem's Decades of Dread, I reread one of my favorite H.P. Lovecraft short stories, The Color Out of Space. I have a link to a free copy of the story in the description so you can read it for yourself if you haven't already. In short, it is a tale of cosmic horror related to the narrator by someone who witnessed the gradual destruction of the Gardner family's farmstead after a meteorite landed on the property. The story fills the narrator with such dread that he is glad the whole place will soon be flooded for a new reservoir. But he wonders if even a man-made lake can drown the weird terror that overtook the farm and shakes the convictions of all who hear the tale. One aspect of this story that is different from several of Lovecraft's other works is that here we can say there isn't really an antagonist. Similarly, no one is to blame, unlike many Lovecraftian stories wherein people intentionally dive into eldritch weirdness and get what's coming to them. Here, there are no esoteric cultists or mad scientists or anything like that. What we see are ordinary people who become unwitting victims of forces beyond human knowledge or control. The Gardners haven't done anything to deserve what happens to them, making The Color Out of Space one of the most tragic and potent cosmic horror stories. What happens to this family could just as easily have happened to any of us. Even with the mutations, madness, imprisonment, and murder, the events happening among and to the Gardner family make them seem pitiable as much as they might also frighten us. The meteorite and the color it emits, while eventually destructive, does not appear to operate with any malice and might not even be intelligent in a way we could recognize. The weird color and how it affects living things on the Gardner farm comes across more as a byproduct than anything like an intentionally malevolent entity, as seen in stories like H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. We could argue the local community, when it sees the biological and psychological effects the color is having on the Gardners, react poorly by staying away from the farm and ostracizing the family. While I agree these reactions are not empathetic, I think they are also believably human, given the bitterness and self-recrimination in Pierce's recollection of events. It is also clear he both laments his failings as a friend and neighbor, but is still terrified by the inexplicable events he witnessed in his dealings with the Gardners and the color that infested the farm. The advanced science, as well as traditional old-fashioned thinking, are ultimately helpless against this alien intrusion. The experts from Miskatonic University in Arkham are just as baffled by the meteorite as the uneducated farmers. When Lovecraft wrote this story in the 1920s, it was an age of rapid technological and sociological change, not entirely dissimilar to the times in which we currently find ourselves, and those changes are reflected in the story at a variety of levels, from the scientific team and their studies of the meteorite to the eventual reservoir planned to meet the growing needs of the developing region. Human progress and technology, however, has limits and blind spots, something to keep in mind when listening to futurists and tech company snake oil salesmen promising shares in a near future of unbridled optimism and limitless growth made possible through whatever hot new technology they're shilling for this week. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. Even though Lovecraft was an amateur scientist himself, many of his stories, including this one, betray a skepticism that the aggressive expansion of human knowledge could, or even should, disclosed the many likely horrifying secrets of the universe. Ultimately, The Color Out of Space is a horror story about human frailty and helplessness in an inexplicable and indifferent universe. By setting these concerns and fears in a pulpy science fiction horror story, Lovecraft creates metaphors and symbols that give us a chance to think about and talk about these topics that we might not have the language or the courage to do so otherwise. But what do you, the audience at home, think? Is The Color Out of Space one of the greatest cosmic horror stories ever written? Do you think it ranks among the best of Lovecraft's work? What are you reading for the decades of dread this Horror Mayhem? Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my peculiar notions. If you appreciate this channel and want to support it, you know what to do. You can also take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel of another YouTube creator you enjoy, or the algorithm will lock their videos in an attic. Until next time, enjoy some good horror stories. Live and be well.